Hi, I'm Adam Sussman, Director of Research at TABB Group, joined by Laurie Berke, Principal at TABB Group. And today we're going to be talking about commodity ETFs. Recently, the CFTC has revoked some of the position limit exemptions for commodity ETFs. Laurie, how has this impacted their ability to manage their funds?
It has had an impact. Commodity ETFs have grown extremely large, and the CFTC, as you've said, has cut back on their ability to bypass position limits in the underlying futures contracts. So a couple of things have happened. Some of these commodity ETFs have capped their funds. They can't accept any more money. Investors cannot increase their exposure to commodities through these ETFs. Number two, they have been forced to diversify, go back to the prospectus and diversify the underlying investments so that they invest funds in a broader range of commodities and they're not as concentrated in one futures contract. The third thing that they're doing, which is interesting, is they may go to their investment bank broker-dealers or approved participants and ask to do a swap in that marketplace.
Well, it's funny because so much of what we read is, regulators trying to push some of these OTC derivative contracts onto an exchange or a centrally cleared platform, but in this sense, they're actually forcing more OTC derivatives to take place.
Yes, that's right. This is a perfect example of some of what's being discussed today across multiple markets, and that is, you push on the amoeba on one side and it sort of bursts out the other side. So to the extent that you restrict the ability for investors to use the listed markets to invest funds in these commodity ETFs, they're going to push out the other side and go over the counter.
And so, what impact do you think this has on the OTC markets? Is it growing now because of this?
I think ultimately, here's what's happening. The commodity ETFs will go to the investment banks and ask for a swap transaction, sell me the returns on gold or sell me the returns on wheat for X period of time. The investment bank does what? They turn around and they hedge the sale of those returns with a position in the underlying futures markets, which is exactly where the commodity fund might have traded their position to begin with. So perhaps again in this market it's important for both the CFTC and the folks who are managing ETFs to look very hard at the ramifications of these position limits and the impact it'll have on forcing trades back to the over-the-counter market.
Yeah, it just sounds like it's kind of a shell game, and at the end of the day, since the swaps are probably more expensive to put on than the underlying cash markets, the overall impact is probably just negative for the end investor, the average person just trying to hedge their exposure to these the volatile prices.
I think your point on pricing is a good one. I think it's cheaper to trade in the futures market than it is to pay a dealer for his capital. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Again, this is Laurie Berke, Principal at TABB Group. Adam Sussman, Director of Research. Thanks.
Thanks.